age. And I
Mhm.
look and I go around sometimes and I hang out with other people that are my age and they're just kind of just
Yeah.
Furthermore, I look and I go around in some cases, and I spend time with others that are my age, and they're only sort of take a gander at my telephone selfie. I'm very much like fella, like wow, like, might we at any point discuss like the political and monetary condition of the world? Right currently, what's one rule you're glad for disrupting each damn guideline? There is no doubt is it acceptable for guardians to follow their children remotely, I say okay. I say ope too. I was simply thinking about this for security reasons. Each of the vehicles, remembering mine, need to have trackers for them. Done yahoo god. Yippee. Thank you, they truly looked for it in the midst of all the contention. Encompassing Will Smith and Jada. Pinkett Smith, their child Jaden, has drilled down into how they are self-centered guardians who generally put their professions before their youngsters' prosperity individuals are not precisely surprised about that, yet on the off chance that you are not an insider, you probably won't know how awful things are between Will Jada and their kids, I mean. Are they truly self-centered guardians? In what ways have they shown their narrow-mindedness towards their children throughout the long term? We should dive in late in the game of 25. Any reasonable person would agree Jaden Smith has had a long and significant vocation as a craftsman business visionary giver. Et yet, maybe his greatest and most requesting position is being the child of Will Smith and Jada, Pinkett Smith a gig. So depleting Jaden was prepared to pull out of it by age 15. We as a whole had that stage as youngsters, where we accepted we could endure freely and didn't need our folks breathing down our necks. Yet for the most part, it's something minor, nothing a decent night rest. And some custom-made food won't fix yet for Jaden Smith. That stage in his life was conceived out of sheer fatigue. From attempting to stay aware of his dad's ability and distinction, it got so awful that by 15, he let his folks know that what he needed for his 15th birthday celebration was liberation, its memorables vital. That by that age, Jaden previously had a noteworthy resume in diversion from his jobs in blockbusters, like The Quest for Satisfaction and The Karat Youngster, which he got in view of his dad's all's impact. Will had an end-all strategy for how Jaden would be raised to turn into a star. A piece of that end-all strategy was a billion dual media establishment called 1000 AE that will intended for Jaden to turn into the star of the main undertaking in that establishment was a dystopian film called After Earth, where Will and Jaden co-featured as father and son. After Earth had every one of the makings of an incredible film, yet it slumped so severely that the studio needed to scrap the establishment. Thought even Will called it the most over-the-top difficult disappointment of his vocation. Yet that wasn't even the most terrible part. The film uncovered exactly the amount Jaden expected to deal with his art before he could turn into a genuine hotshot. And the pundits were difficult on him, from web savages to web journals and YouTube stations. Everybody had something pessimistic to say regarding Jaden now. Well, it tends to be contended that it was only an exemplary instance of an oppressive dad attempting to guarantee his child followed his vocation way. Presenting a teen to that sort of stage for harassing was simply not it. Jaden felt sold out tricked and led somewhere near the one individual he trusted to lead him his approach to managing that was to tell his folks, you understand what I need out. This could have been a valid statement for his folks to attempt to fix their relationship with their kid right off base on an episode of the Red Casual Conversation. Jada nonchalantly said, recollect contemplating internally crushed. As I resembled, he's right now, is the ideal opportunity. He's 15, it's the ideal opportunity for him to take off from the house, as in her response to her kid needing to split away from the family. Is I'm miserable, yet he's a 15-year-old grown-up now. And it's the ideal opportunity for him to fight for himself in the event that you believed Will's response was any better. Reconsider when gotten some information about it in a meeting. He said to have order of his life, I comprehend. And we don't put stock in discipline. Will himself has needed to concede that he was self-centered in his quest for fame for his child. As he was doing all that without placing into thought the way that Jaden was only a kid and youngsters don't have to have that much exposure early in life. In his meeting with Esquire, he said Wild West was less agonizing than After Earth in light of the fact that my child was involved in After Earth. And I drove him into it. That was horrifying, he likewise added. As a parent, as a spouse, as an entertainer, similarly, as a person I suck a ton, you realize I suck far. Beyond I've figured I ought to at 46. That is a ton of self-reflection, not too far off, yet it didn't improve things. Currently Will and Jada are renowned for being different liberal, in the event that you can consider it that they generally permitted their youngsters to do anything they desired to do. And when done with some restraint that is certainly not something awful in itself, yet Will and Jada took it to such outrageous lengths that their girl Willow began engaging pot enslavement at an age when most teen young ladies were more worried about pounds. In one more episode of the Red Table, Willow, who was only 19 at the time, uncovered that she was smoking such a lot of that it was driving her down a way she would have rather not gone. She added that after she quit smoking, she would do well to zero in on her life and more significant associations with individuals around her the entire time. Will and Jada had some awareness of Willow's smoking propensities, yet they just let her go for it. Since you know it's her life, they made zero endeavors to mediate and get their little girl any assist with enjoying what you would figure typical guardians would do on the off chance that that isn't egotistical. I don't have the foggiest idea what is sincerely. It was not shocking they responded like that, since that was not their most memorable time seeing Willow in a possibly perilous circumstance, and failing to address it. Recall when that image of 13, 18-year-old Willow in a bed with a shirtless 20-year elderly person surfaced. Individuals were so frantic about that video for clear reasons. A 20-year-old grown-up man shouldn't have a say in a 13-year-old young lady discuss of them being in a bed together while he's shirtless. Certain individuals even call CPS and attempted to get them included, yet Will and Jada saw nothing off about the image. Jada called the critics out, saying, "Here's the arrangement. There was nothing sexual about that image or that particular situation. You all are extending your rubbish onto it, and you're behaving like secret pedophiles. And that is not cool. Nothing unseemly about a possibly ruthless circumstance, including your scarcely high school little girl. I mean, on the off chance that you say so, mother, we should discuss every one of the new virtual entertainment backfire Jada has gotten over her new surge of meetings over the most recent couple of weeks. There is no length that Jada has not gone to paint her family in a terrible light. She began by discussing how she was stunned that Will called her his better half during the 2022 Oscars occurrence, since they have been isolated beginning around 2016. From that point, she tells the entire world how horrendous the connection among her and Will has turned into the explanation. The two of them had various thoughts of how the ideal family ought to look, and it was causing a ton of grinding between them. Taking everything into account, nothing is excessively humiliating to show the public not her ensnarements, her undying affection for Tupac, the genuine affection of her life, her hatred for Will, and a portion of the things he has done nothing again. This shows how self-centered she is as a parent in light of the fact that at any rate she ought to consider how all that she says will ponder her children, yet know everything revolves around her. And what makes a difference to her? It has persuaded individuals to think that she is doing this multitude of meetings to advance her book, which is more proof of childishness, since circulating your privately run companies like that to sell a book is to wicked. One ex-client remarked on the circumstance, saying, "Am I the one in particular who's feeling that Jada Pinkett Smith coming out now, saying that she and Will have been isolated beginning around 2016, and calling Tupac Shakur her perfect partner is both incredibly frightful to Will, and she's utilizing the exposure to advance her new book." Another person said Jada Pinkett And Will Smith just conceded what savvy individuals have known for a really long time: big name connections aren't genuine, they script did. And organized by Hollywood specialists for exposure, superstars will arrange connections and even have children to acquire clout and cash. But someone else said no exposure is terrible exposure. Go on, Jada, advance the book. Yet we should not fail to remember that even Will has conceded to being a self-centered accomplice and parent in his book, being incredibly envious of Jada's relationship with Pac, and betraying her on numerous occasions. He has additionally conceded to being a junkie parent to his most memorable, less famous kid, Three-Pointer Smith, who he had with his most memorable wife, Cherie. While he zeroed in on making the ideal family with Willow, Jaden, and Jada, he totally disregarded his other child to the degree that the kid felt his dad had failed to remember him. So Will Smith